Thank you, Lynn. For announcements, we do have monthly meeting at 10:35 this morning, meeting for worship for business. As you've noticed, the agenda keeps growing and more information keeps coming in. So we hope everyone can attend. I have some interesting things to discuss. I don't know if it'll be as lively as our previous discussion, but it may be. So hope all can join. Are there other announcements that need to be made?
I had been in touch with Jonathan since we hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks, and he had told me that he was going to be here today, but then I got an email from him this morning saying that something had come up and he wasn't going to be, but that he wanted to be remembered to everybody.
How about joys and concerns to share?
I know it sounds like we have a never-ending story here, but Dick's one of the things we deferred while Dick had other medical excitement was his carpal tunnel release. And it's gotten very acute. It's keeping us up at night for quite a while, and it's very, very painful at night and sometimes during the day. And it's just I'm just amazed at how disruptive it is to not be able to sleep. Yeah, I wouldn't have you think he's waking me up or anything. I just worry myself awake. But you know, we have it's 6 weeks to the operation scheduled, but if someone cancels, which I don't want anyone to cancel because they, have something worse happen to them than carpal tunnel, but if there's a cancellation, we might get in earlier. So we're really hoping and praying that we can get relief soon.
Troy is having a lot of health issues, and if you could keep him in your prayers, he's gone through all this before. It's just a whole bunch of things wrong. He's been to the doctor, and the doctor took him off all his medications. And on a bright side, Drake got to go to Ohio for nationals for the drum thing, and they didn't win, but he had a really good time and they stayed there for several days. So it was, he's home and I'm happy.
Well, granddaughter Emma was in a college little state event yesterday for running. She ran the 5,000, which is translated into miles is 3.1 mile. And she improved her time 39 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're running 5,000 that named race, 39 seconds is a big deal. That's her best time ever.
Well, let's hold these concerns in our hearts, remembering Dick and Megan as they're going through another thing, health issue, and I'm sure there are many other things on our hearts, but let's also rejoice in the good that we share, one of which is seeing everybody, looking around. The miracle of Zoom. Who'd have thunk a few years ago that this would be a way that we could be community as spread out as we are and still feel very much connected. I think it is one of the things that proves that God's Spirit is not limited to how God will work in us and through us. And so I know I rejoice in seeing you all. So this morning, Chip is our worship leader. So if you can mute yourselves, just for feedback purposes, and we'll let Chip proceed as he feels led.
Well, good morning, friends. Let me first say that giving this message today from my office has been nothing short of a miracle. No, no one was raised from the dead and nobody was cured from leprosy, but it came close. I won't go into all the details because that would involve me telling an Aunt Betty story, and I wouldn't have time to do my message for today. I will say it involved a lot of time on the phone, the cutting down of a tree, running a wire over the top of Troy's house, losing my messages twice, and deleting it once. I still don't like that new computer. Now, when I picked my date for my message, I knew that there was a holiday the next day, Earth Day. And I will be talking about that. What I didn't realize that yesterday was also a holiday, 420, which I won't be using in my message. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Earth Day, and I will go into that in a minute. Now, for those who don't know about the other holiday, I like to keep everybody informed. 420 refers to the date 420 or April the 20th, and the date has become known as the official stoner holiday, which marijuana smokers celebrate their love for the bud. 420 also refers to the time of day. Now, Indiana doesn't allow marijuana, but they did have a celebration downtown. I didn't go. And I understand that there were 25 food trucks. Anyway, I'd like to start with a message today. I'd like to start with Genesis 2:15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. Everything we do on earth affects someone or something else. It's like the story of the boy on the beach and someone sees him throwing starfish that had washed up on the shore back into the ocean. He was throwing them back one by one into the ocean. The person came up to the boy and says, "There are so many, you can't save them all. So what difference does it make?" The boy picked up one and threw it back into the ocean. He said, "Well, it made a difference for that one." I try to live in harmony with nature. It has brought me much joy and some grief. I love planting trees. I know the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time would be today. Each year I plant trees and hope that someone will enjoy the shade or the fruit I have after I've planted it. I have 3 to plant this week. It gives me much pleasure to feed the birds and critters that live around me. I have a woods all around me and I'm visited by deer, ducks, rabbits, fox, coyotes, and squirrel. Life is good. Now, in the Bible, Jesus speaks about the need to protect the earth. He tells us that we are stewards of this planet and its resources. It is our responsibility to care for it. The Buddha taught that there would be problems if we did not care for the environment. Respect for the environment and its principles that go back to the beginning of Buddhism. Hinduism contains numerous references to worship of the divine in nature and its sacred text. Millions of Hindus recite mantras daily to revere their rivers, mountains, trees, animals, and the earth. The Quran describes mankind as being stewards of the earth, and therefore Muslims must care for the earth. Jewish tradition teaches us to care for our planet in order to preserve that which God has created. The Torah, called the Tree of Life, shows how trees connect to the highest Jewish values. I'd like to read something from the Torah. When God created the first man, he took him and showed him all the trees in the Garden of Eden and said to him, "See my works, how beautiful and how praiseworthy they are. And everything in that created, I created for you. Be careful not to spoil or destroy my world, for you, if you do, there will be no one left to repair it." Now let's go back to Earth Day. A little history. There was a lot of bad stuff going on with companies doing whatever they wanted and not caring what happened to the earth or anything living on it. The people were getting pretty fed up. The stage was set for change when the publication of Rachel Carson's bestseller, Silent Spring, came out in 1962. It sold more than 500,000 copies and was in 24 different countries. It raised public awareness and concern for living creatures and environment and the link between pollution and public health. Groups that had been fighting individually against oil spills, polluting factories, power plants, raw sewage, toxic dumps, pesticides, freeways, and loss of wilderness and the extinction of wildlife all came together, and this became Earth Day. Earth Day is an annual event on April the 22nd to demonstrate support for the environmental protection. First held on April 22nd, 1970, it now includes more than 1 billion people in more than 193 countries. Jeremiah 2:7. And I brought you into a plentiful land to enjoy its fruits and its good things. But when you came, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The Bible tells us that we are called to tend and keep the earth. That means as Christians, we have the responsibility to be good stewards for the environment and protect for future generations. As we go into our quiet time, I would ask you to think about what you can do to tend and keep our earth. It may be to walk or ride a bike instead of taking a car. You might want to learn more about recycling and what you can do. Talk to other people about what they do, or plant a tree like I'm going to do. I would like to close with a prayer called The Blue Dot. It's by Reverend Margot Ford. A tiny blue dot in the vast universe. Earth is our magnificent home and sustains all of life. My heart is filled with love, kindness, compassion, and caring as I pray for harmony, healing, and peace through the beating heart of Mother Earth.
Thank you, Chip and Lynn, for your ministry this morning. Let's continue with on-program worship for those who can stay. For those who can't, we bid you adieu. Go with God, and I will remind us that we have a meeting for worship with attention to business coming up at 10:35, and hope to see you there.
Thank you, Chip.
We don't go to Garwin, even though that's our address. We don't go to Garwin for much of any reason except for recycling bins. So a couple days ago, I took a carload of plastic and glass and cans. And I'm frustrated with how many times people throw a whole plastic bag full of the same into the bin, even though it clearly says, please do not put plastic bags in this bin. Generally, I've been very frustrated with recycling attempts. They don't seem to be working. They don't seem to be efficient. They don't seem to be productive, more productive than they are expensive. But I keep thinking that we'll get it right one of these days. Farmers get kind of a bad rap for polluting the air with cattle and the operations of feeding grounds and so forth. And it's kind of refreshing to see the attempts of some of our farmers around here who are trying to do something about that. There's about 15 miles west of us, there's a huge farm with tens of thousands of cattle, dairy cows, and they're being quite creative with the way they're recycling literally tons of manure and producing methane gas that's being put to good use. And it's quite interesting to go by and see how creative they are being. This week in a farm magazine, Dan was reading at lunch one day. He said, now here's an idea. Here's a farm that has put all of their field tile to drain into a pond that they've created to collect the water from the fields that is full of those nitrates we generally hear about going into the water streams. They have their own pond to collect their own, and then they use that to irrigate their crops using the fertilizer all over again. I think that was a possibility here on our farm. That's a possibility. Not that it's possible for places. Steve Mills has so many farms scattered out already. He can't probably put a pond on every farm where he does that. But I am impressed with the attempt for the farms around here, trying to do what's good for the world, the environment. I don't think we ought to give up on it. There are places in the world that are far advanced of us. Kenya and Rwanda, for example, don't even allow plastic grocery bags in their country. You're not supposed to even put them in your suitcase in case you want to put your dirty clothes in a plastic bag. You're not supposed to even do those, bring those in the country. And if they find them, they take them out. Rwanda has, I think, a day a month where they release all workers in the afternoon to go out and pick up trash so that their country stays pristinely clean looking. There are places that are far advanced of us, and what it takes to change a mindset, I think, is a really interesting process. Most of us would rather have things be convenient than be respectful of the environment. So I appreciate Chip going out to plant a tree, and we're going to do the same.
So lately I've been thinking a lot about, love your enemies and loving, love as being like the first and most important obligation that I have. you know, obviously we all love the robin bobbing across the lawn, but you know, in my office we have mice and we have roaches and somewhere in the building, not in my office, thankfully. But you know, I remember a time when I used to walk in, be the person who walked into the kitchen that was a 19th century kitchen that was, or actually probably early 20th century kitchen with a basement and a sub basement with steam tunnels under it. And you would walk in and flip the switch on every day, and then you would scream and the roaches would scream and we'd part. And then they'd come back a little. And you know, there was just not much you could do. You know, I mean, they were established. And of course we did things that were probably environmentally incorrect. But you know, we're all part of the whole. We don't know where we are in the food chain, or maybe we know and we don't want to be part of that food chain. But you know, I think about how hard it is to do some things, how hard it is to give up to, you know, the idea of acquiring more or having more that all created some environmental catastrophe where it was, to try and take the energy to discern what is the right way. All this energy that's so hard to come by comes easily if you but love. Because when you think about the people you love and the extra energy you delight in spending on, oh, I don't know, finding out what they like to eat and making sure that you make it the way they like it, or any of those things that you do for people that you love very much. If we had the same love for roaches and squirrels and woodchucks, then we may find a way, and beavers, I understand someone here loves beavers, that if we can but find the way to truly love the entirety, not just the bits that appeal to us, then that way will become easier and smoother. I don't by any means lay claim to having achieved that love, but at least I know that's the direction I need to go.
If all hearts are clear, we'll close worship for the morning.
Thanks, Chip. You gave us lots to think about.
Yeah, thank you, Chip.
Okay, we hope to see you again soon in about 15 minutes for a meeting for worship with attention to business. And until then, have a nice break.
Bye.
I will be there for a little bit, but I can't stay long. I'm speaking at Marshalltown First Friends this morning.
Okay.
Thanks.